thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're really appreciative of having you back on and spending more time with us. And I tried not to disappoint. I brought some friends with me wearing some teal so that we could get into it. So just thanks again for coming, Terry. Really appreciate it.
Again, I apologize, guys. And if we have to, like I said, we'll spend some time tonight. If you guys want to schedule another time and do it again, by all means, Dan, do it again. But go ahead. Fire away.
Okay.
Whatever you want to know, let me know and we'll go. I'll answer questions or whatever you guys need.
Awesome.
I'll stay on as long as you need to make up for being so late.
Well, I appreciate, and that's what I was telling the guys before you hopped on, is you're just a really easygoing guy and kind of open book, no pun intended. We definitely want to talk to you about that. And also just to go around the room real quickly, just to kind of do a soft introduction here. James is a really big design fan with goalie equipment, and he's a huge Sharks fan and just loves everything about like the Sharks culture. Who doesn't? Everyone kind of has that part in common. Edward is working with some people in Sharks organizations. It sounds like he was doing some things with retail, but he's also a huge jersey collector of Sharks gear and knows a lot about the history and iterations of the hockey jerseys. And Sonny is kind of in that camp as well in terms of like a big hockey jersey collector, really, really prominently focused on the Sharks stuff too. So he has a lot of love for your logo, like the rest of us, and is just probably somebody that knows too much about Sharks logos. But I think like all of us are kind of somewhat sick in the head that way. So I guess we're all in good company in that respect. So just wanted to say thanks. I know these guys are eager to talk to you as well. And so
what we can do too, again, I could share a screen, because I've got, we've done, so much stuff over the last almost 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. So, I can always give you guys, sneak peeks, or when we're talking about things, I may be able to pull up. I got some, bunch of different hard drives here and stuff that have stuff that go back 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I'm sure you're not tired. I'm sure you're not tired of talking about the Sharks at all, Terry.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because, again, what I do is so behind the scenes. Most, very few people know who I am. It's not like even when I'm at game, nobody knows who I am. And I don't publicize it. And I'm just glad people enjoy it and I have fun, kind of being anonymous because you can walk around. I could be standing in the, in the Shark store and, people be standing there talking about something you just did and somebody's telling you how much they hate it. And the other person's telling you, how it's like, they don't know who I am. They're just, so it's kind of fun. But when you mention that, I always have to kind of laugh because I do enjoy my anonymity because you tend to get the truth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Whether you want to hear it or not, you get the truth.
And yeah, that is definitely something I wanted to mention, because I know one of the things we talked about last time was hey, it would be awesome to get a sneak peek at stuff. And we did want to kind of do that with you. And also all of these guys are under the impression that what we see, we're not going to be sharing out. And I mean, this is a podcast. We can't visually show that stuff anyway. So we certainly don't know if you've done this with other people before, but our take on this whole thing is we know a lot about the Sharks from what we can read about and what we've talked about with you before. And we want to pick your brain of just as a designer and stuff, but we also want the opportunity to take a look at some of the other stuff and just hear how and why it didn't make the cut, or what you think.
You and I have talked, Dan, before, so sometimes that because obviously I was in all the meetings from day one, so I'm sure there's some things that I probably should be keeping to myself, but as we're talking here, I'll try to be my own filter from time to time and go, well, maybe shouldn't get into that one, because a lot of times when you're working on these things, I've done enough of them over the years, where just to give you examples of other logos and things that you do without being specific, when you're working on stuff like this, you never know who's going to make the decision. We've done stuff for teams, and it's an owner's mistress, or it's an owner's kids, or it's an ex-wife. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Sometimes you'll get a group of owners that and now you've got 6 multi-millionaires who are all used to getting their way, and you've got to find a way to go, hey, and they all have their opinions. And so you end up being half psychologist half the time, and half, mediator, and, all kinds of stuff, and the whole time from a design perspective, you're trying to lead them down the right path, but sometimes, if the girlfriend likes pink and purple, that's what it's going to be.
Don't you know it?
Something I wanted to ask Terry, because at the end of the day, you're just the designer, right? At the end of the day, it's the management, it's your client that really makes the final decision. So were there any times where maybe you thought a design was so cool, like you loved it so much that you just really pushed for and like, hey, this would look really nice, like I think you should really consider it? Were there ever times like that?
I'm going to say that's every time. And you guys, again, having done this a little bit, some of you know that, we all have our little tricks, right? So you're not gonna, when I'm doing this, we're not going to present just one idea, right? So you got to present, maybe 3 or 4. And sometimes they may even bring something to you that say, hey, we want something like this. And you can look at it and go, in your head, right? You don't say it out loud. You go, that's never going to work. But what you try to do is you try to help them make what you think is the right decision. And so you will oftentimes try to set up your presentations, so that you lead them hopefully to the right decision. Like I said, if the girlfriend likes pink and purple and you're going, I don't know if football guys are going to want to wear pink. So how do you, carefully, craftfully, show them some stuff and kind of move them in a direction that you think will work for them. I do have maybe a little bit of an advantage over time. And that is, if you've created something that's made a ton of money, then all of a sudden you have credibility. And, in the art world, and I always laugh because with what we do as designers, there are no right answers. It's not like it's math. It's not like 1 + 1 = 2. We're artists, and we're talking about, black, gray, white. Does the grass always have to be green? Right? Now, for most people, they're going to say, yeah, if there's grass, there should be green. And I'm going to say, well, it could be purple, it could be orange, it could be whatever. So there is no right answer in art. There is no right answer in design. But at the end of the day, let's put it this way. I know if something doesn't work and I was the designer, who's going to get the blame? Right? It's not going to be the client. They're going to blame you. So from that standpoint, I always, I tell myself, and I got to work with them, but I'd rather go down with something I believe in. And even if it doesn't work, okay. But it's like being a general manager, or I should say being a coach. If the GM picks all your players and you lose and then you get fired, I'd be a little upset. Let me pick my own players, right? So in this particular case, being a little long-winded, but to answer that question, yeah, it happens all the time, where you'll create things and you'll think maybe they'll make a wrong decision. So your choice is don't show them everything or set it up so that when you're talking to them, you can show them something, but explain to them why you don't think that will work and why you think this might work. But I tend to approach those conversations not from a design perspective, but from a financial perspective. I think this one's going to make you more money, and here's why. They tend to listen to that more so than anything else, especially in sports.
Nice.
Yeah, well, so Terry, it's funny you mentioned about the what will make you money, because I don't know if you've noticed, but the Sharks have made a lot of money off of me over the years, and I think they can thank you for that. But specifically, so talking about the Sharks today, so what I found out is when I found out that you were the creator of the original Sharks logo, I thought that's all it meant, was that you helped to create the logo and that was it. But it turns out you also helped design the jersey. You were part of the process of designing the original jersey, the redesign. So have the Sharks, I mean, have you been a part of every jersey redesign for the Sharks? Like when they brought back the original heritage design, did you have input on that, or was it just Adidas and the Sharks, their decision?
Yeah, and I'm laughing because, you know, you'll get a little bit behind the scenes here. So in the beginning, yeah, we did everything for the first few, maybe 3 or 4 years. After that, I really wasn't involved with them at all. You know, after the first maybe 2 years, you know, they ended up, you know, going another direction and doing other stuff. There was a time I think Nike came in at that point because the jerseys originally were done by
CCM.
CCM, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Sharks got the contract, and the Nike got the contract. And so Nike they did everything. When we first did the logos and the jerseys and all that kind of stuff, there was no NHL properties. And so you guys know what that is today. NHL Properties basically controls, it's the licensing arm of the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And they also now control everything, what everything looks like, the jerseys, all that kind of stuff. But when we did that in the beginning, that didn't exist. Part of the reason that NHL Properties exists today is because of the Sharks. Back then, again, each team got to keep the lion's share of the money they made on the stuff. The owners didn't split it like they did in the other leagues. Now with NHL Properties, right, there's 32 teams, however many teams there are, 30, 32. They all split the revenue from all the money that comes in. But back then, the Sharks were raking it in and no other teams got that money, right? So, you know, it kind of changed the game. But to get back to your question, no. In the beginning, for the first couple years, yeah, we did everything for them. And then after that, they went their own way. You know, there were some issues with me and some of the people who were running it, and there was nothing antagonistic or anything. It's just like they were going a different direction. They got what they needed from me and they moved on. When the Gunn family sold the team, and Greg Jameson and his group bought it, they sought me out and brought me back in.
Okay.
And so there was a period once they moved to San Jose, to that arena, after they'd been there for a year or so, that's when I came back in, and that's when some of the rebranding started. That's where the new logo was done,
right,
the new uniforms. And so for about another 5-year period, I was very involved, you know, anniversary logos, uniforms, all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, the change ownerships again. And, you know, so today, you know, again, so it varies. The manufacturers like to take control now. The leagues like to get control. It got to the point where there were some years, like I said, over the last, I have not been involved with them as much over the last, I'd say, probably 6 years or so. You know, and it's one of those things also too, I'll let you know, and I may have told you this, Dan, I don't know if I did or not, but when we first did that Sharks logo, I never signed it over to them.
Oh, really?
I still own that logo for the first 6 or 7 years of the franchise when it was making all that money. They finally came back and they realized it. And so now the league, right, because somebody was suing the league, because everybody and their mother was coming out of the woodwork and saying they did the Sharks design. And so there was a surf company back east that was suing them over the design, saying that I stole it, or, you know, they didn't know who I was. They're saying the Sharks stole it, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And it was a joke. But it was at that time that the league realized that, hey, you guys never did any paperwork with this guy. So it was one of those things where, again, major dilemma. Do I basically hold them for ransom, which I could have, you know, but I didn't. You know, what I was hoping is I say, hey, look, just give me season tickets and we'll call it even and we're good. And they wouldn't do it. I said, wait, of all the money I made you do all that kind of stuff, I'm not asking for anything. Just give me 4 season tickets so I can take my family to the games and we're done. They wouldn't do it. So that's when I kind of parted ways. I still signed it over. You know, again, it's like one of those things where, hey, I knew what the intent was, and yeah, I could have been a jerk about it, and you know, my family would have money for the rest of their lives, but you know, I just don't believe in that. I believe in you. You know, you know, I worked for years with just my word, no contracts. If I can't trust somebody on their word, I don't want to work with them anyway. So I expect, you know, to do the same myself. That being said, that's where that split took place. And when the new ownership group came in, they sought me out. And so I was able to work with those guys, and they took good care of me. You know, they gave, you know, I never asked for season tickets from them, but I didn't need to. If I wanted to go, I just call them. A lot of times they would just call me and, you know, say, hey, Terry, you want to sit in the box and whatever. They took great care of my family and friends. We never had any formal agreements or anything. You know, I took care of them, they took care of me, and that's all, you know, I would expect. And then the group, it got sold again. And there were a lot of, you know, I was the only person who was doing all the design work for them. You know, now they've got a whole department that does all that stuff. Now all the uniforms and stuff, they get designed by the league. The team will call me every now and then when they want, you know, when they go, hey, can you do this for us? And there've been times too, you know, and I've called them out on a few times where they've come out with something and they said, I designed it and I didn't. And, you know, but sometimes, you know, again, what they want, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because as an artist, and since there is no right answer, when something comes out, you know, people don't know how to think about it. Is it good or is it not? You know, and, you know, a lot of people don't, I believe, don't trust themselves to make the decision. It's like if you took your average person and you went into an art gallery and you're walking around and saying, okay, tell me which piece is the best. Well, there is no best in art. It's a personal thing. What do you like and what don't you like? And so I think part of it is, you know, people lose their jobs over creative decisions, whether it's a movie script or a failed logo or whatever it may be. So I think at times, you know, I would get calls that I felt were more like, well, if Terry says it's good, then it must be okay. So I think that at times, you know, the new group is never sure how to use me. You know, we've always done stuff for them and it's always worked out pretty well. So, you know, I think, you know, if history, if they look at what's gone on in the past, you know, anytime they need something, they should call me. You know, we've always taken care of them. We've always done a good job and all that stuff. But, you know, quite honestly, a lot of the new people, they don't even know who I am. You know, there's a few. And so that's just kind of the way it's been. They'll reach out from time to time. They've got, like I said, they've got a young design group in there now, and, you know, they're trying new things and doing all kinds of stuff, and I don't want to step on their toes, and, you know, so we'll see how they do. But they did call me recently, and I'll share this with you guys, you know, at some point tonight. You know how they do the kind of the warm-up jerseys.
Yeah.
And then they auction them off. Mm-hmm. So I got a call from them, you know, this year, and they said, hey, will you do a jersey for us? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. I said, but I want my jersey. I said, if I do it, I want to have a message. I said, let me do the one for Black Lives Matter. I want to do something that talks about, you know, that goes toward that. Well, we've already got somebody doing that. Well, that's the one I really want to do. So anyway, they gave me one to do, and I called them back like a week later and said, I have a different idea. I said, let me do something, since you have a Black Lives Matter one, let me do something different that has to do with, you know, social justice, unity. Let me try something different. So tonight, at some point, I'll share screen. I'll show you what I came up with.
Awesome.
Right.
And that's one of the jerseys on the upcoming list, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Supposedly, this would be the one for, they gave me the date now.
Because they have quite a few this year.
Yeah, it's the one to benefit the HIF, the housing stuff. So I think it's like mid-March, I think is when it's scheduled. Yeah, and we also too, I'll let you know too, I just finished doing, I'll share this with you too. I just finished doing something again that nobody's seen. This was for Bauer. They reached out to me, and they're doing a special night in Boston. Willie O'Ree was the first Black hockey player. This is 1958. And this was kind of fun. They called me, kind of out of the blue. I'd been trying to work with the hockey diversity situation through the league. I think her name is Kim Davis, who runs it for the league. There's the Black, Hockey Diversity Alliance.
Mhm.
There are about 4 or
Mhm.
5 groups. Dan, you and I think talked about this a little bit before. So they've all reached out to me in one way or another. And so I was going to try to do something, but through that, Bauer reached out to me, and, hockey, and basketball and stuff, they've always, do cool stuff with shoes. Bauer just started doing some things with skates. So they asked me to design a special skate for that night that the guys would wear on ice. And a lot of the Black players. So I was on with, Wayne Simmons and some of the other guys and talking to them, getting their thoughts and ideas. And so that was kind of fun. I had 48 hours to design a skate that Bauer was going to make, and then, the guys were going to wear. So I'll share that with you tonight too. But
Right.
so every now and then, like I said, weird stuff happens. And again, the only reason these things are coming about is people like Dan, during the pandemic. I think that a lot of people had no programming and there were no sports. And so they were trying to figure out what to do. So I think last year I must have done, I don't know, maybe 10 interviews with Hockey Canada, with all these other people. Dan was one, just different people reaching out. Like I said, they needed programming. So I used to laugh about it. But from that, I think all of a sudden a lot of people were going, oh, so this guy, okay. And so we're starting to get reached out. So I'm looking for some interesting opportunities, and some of those are popping up. So it'd be fun. So again, as we go through tonight, just remind me to share the warm-up jersey and the Bauer skate project with you.
Yeah, they're calling that the diversity and inclusion jersey for March 20th.
Okay, look, you've already got it.
Diversity and inclusion. Yep.
Sneak previews of it, or?
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't post. No, not for that one. They only posted sneak previews of the Black History Month and the 30th anniversary celebration so far.
Okay. Yeah.
And then yours.
See, I wanted the Black History Month, but they'd already given that one away. So
right.
But when you see what I did, I think I was able to sneak in what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Cool. And
very cool.
And I know that another player within the Sharks organization. I mean, first there's Evander Kane with the Hockey Diversity Alliance, and then there's also Curtis Gabriel, who's within the San Jose Sharks organization, who's also had a little bit of history. We were talking before you hopped on about how he's trying to raise awareness and do his part with advocacy by making some custom skates as well. So I think these are really cool ways that we're starting to see how designers, but just in general, the leagues are taking a more visual approach to putting issues that are important literally in our faces. And I think that that's very important. So I'm very, very glad to hear that you're a part of this.
Yeah. And again, like I said, this isn't going to be a league initiative or league driven, because, again, I don't think the league is still figuring out what to do and how to do it. So this is coming from a manufacturer. And, I think, again, you look at what Nike, Reebok, Under Armour, you look what they do in the NBA. And again, as they do shoes, because people can walk around in them. So one of the things that, that I'm trying to do, push with Bauer and some of these guys, say, hey, let me create, some on ice looks for you, but then let me design product. Because as you know, Dan, like I said, I design a lot of product. Whether it's the small stars or we build cars. I mean, I can make, we design a lot of stuff that gets made. But what I'd like to do is start designing some shoes for people who like hockey that they can walk around in the street in.
Nice.
That way, when we do stuff for the guys on ice, then that can translate, onto shoes and things that they can wear around. I think I told you that one time I did those special, if I was at my office, I would show them to you. I don't have any here at my office at the house. But for the Sharks 25th anniversary, I did special Converse for all the guys that I put in the locker. I don't even know if I have a picture of it on my computer, but the guys loved them. They're very cool. but they wanted me to make more. I said, nah, they're just for you guys. Well, my family want that. Tough.
Special edition. Oh man.
And
But when I'm at the office, we'll do this again. And when I've got more stuff at the office, and I can show you that stuff. I've also got jerseys and stuff, that were never made. I've got all kinds of stuff.
oh, really?
You're making me
man.
sweat here, Terry. You're making me sweat. We're talking about Converses and jerseys that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah. Well, again,
I'm
if you
available.
guys-
I'm available.
let me ask you this: you guys aren't all in San Jose though, right?
Campbell,
We're in
San
the-
Jose area.
Oh, if you're all in San Jose, then what we do, even with COVID, like I said, I have a hideaway. I have a little hideaway office. It's in San Jose. It's a stone's throw from the airport. So, we can definitely set up a time where you guys, again, even with the pandemic, like I said, the office, like I said, it's a little hideaway place. I call it the Bat Cave. There's no markings. Nobody knows. It's a very nondescript building, but to get in, there's a roll-up gate. So I have to know you're coming. I hit the roll-up gate, and then we can sneak upstairs to an office space I have there. You guys can mask up if it's still, COVID and all that stuff. But, you guys are welcome, and we could have a conversation in person around the table. The place is big enough where we can do our social distancing. But I've got a lot of stuff there, jerseys and all kinds of stuff that, from a design perspective, I'm sure you guys would enjoy looking at. So, I'll let Dan set it up, and then we can set up a time, and then we can do this face to face too.
Yeah, Dan, it sounds like you're gonna have to fly out here. So book that ticket.
I've needed all the excuses to go and visit San Francisco. This seems like a very good one on top of all the wonderful things I hear about the city. Said,
when the timing's right, we can set it up. And if you want, if these guys are all local, then we can set it up, and then we can, include you via Zoom.
Well, it's that. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Hey, thanks for bringing us all together. How are you back in Denver?
Yeah.
I think it's funny too, how many times on this show it comes up like, hey, come to my back room, or hey, I want to go into my basement and show you and it's like, yeah, that's very common around here, and we love it.
Well, let me put this with my, my basement, basically, in the office, it's, I think we had like two of those big old, those big 40-foot containers that they drop onto the ships when they're shipping stuff over and all that kind of stuff. Easily fill that stuff up.
Oh, wow.
But I've got everything from old hockey sticks to, baseball bats. I've got a whole football helmet collection. There's jerseys and uniforms, NBA, NHL, all the stuff we've designed from, minor league baseball stuff, the Shark stuff, obviously. But we've also done stuff for, so many leagues that have folded. We also did mascots, so there's mascot costumes. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's just on the sports side. For you guys, I don't know if you shared that with you, but for years, I was an art director for video games. So, the God of War franchise for Sony, I was flying down to Santa Monica. We did that. EA was a client, all that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff at the office around, video games and characters and that stuff. We've also done stuff for toy companies, movie studios. So there's, all kinds, there's movie props, it's all kinds of crazy stuff there. So it's one of those things where people like to come and they just kind of look around everywhere. But it's fun. But anyway, let me let you get back to the Sharks. We'll set that up some other time.
Very good.
Was there anything in the logo design process that maybe got cut that you still feel like maybe could have been a really interesting element that you might be able to talk about, or maybe something that you really had to advocate for? You talked about trying to lead the clients down the right path. But was there anything that was like to you personally that wasn't included that you feel like could have been included?
Yeah, interesting question. It's one of those things where the first thing was the name, right? So there were all kinds of names that were being tossed around and all that kind of stuff. What the group that set up the team, I think they were originally known just as Bay Area Hockey before they had a name. And what they were trying to figure out is, what do we call this team and what do we do? So I remember some of the names were like tiger sharks, blades. There were all these different names. So the one thing I don't like is when people pick esoteric names, the heat, the wild, those things, because I always feel that from a fan perspective, or even, we ended up doing the stealth for the same group, the Sharks organization on that lacrosse team. But when you have those kind of names, I think it's hard for fans when they first hear the name, what do you think of? And so to get back to your question, the first thing, I just want to make sure they had a good name, something you could work with. So that was number one. Number two was, and when they came up with Sharks, it was like, great name. But when you start thinking about it from a design perspective, what do you do with a shark? And I often describe it as a cigar with teeth. And so how do you give us, a shark personality or a cigar with teeth personality? So when you think about a shark, you think about teeth and the dorsal fin, usually the dorsal fin first and then teeth. So what do you do with that? And so I think that was that initial challenge was, okay, what do we do with this? The team was running a contest and all that kind of stuff. And again, for marketing reasons and a variety of things, they were doing something, those types of things. But if you've probably seen the China Sharks logo and the old Cleveland Barons logo, which is the kind of cartoony shark.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, we tried a bunch of different directions. And then the group that was running everything started doing focus groups. And that cartoon shark was winning the focus groups by I think it was like a 4-1 margin or something like that. It maybe was even more than that. And, part of me goes, okay, I know that'll work, but is that the right choice? And, it's up, but so a lot of times I try to come up with solutions. They're different, but I think they'll all work. So I think that cartoon shark probably would have worked, but it wouldn't have the legs, obviously, that this one did. I worked with another couple of designers. I had a friend of mine named John Zalesnik. And I credit him for pushing that design direction. There was another artist friend of mine named Pat Ho, who also, these guys did stuff that was more angular and more stylized. Doug Gray was another artist I worked with, former student of mine, and he was the one kind of pushing the cartoon direction, but that's what he does, comic books and that stuff. So one of the first things, that I learned a long time ago was I try to take my ego out of it. And when we have projects like this, I like to, like the work to be more collaborative. Yeah, somebody's got to make the decisions. I'll break the ties. I'll go back. I'll tweak it. I'll change it. But when you first get started, what path should you take? What direction should you go? Because all you have is a name. But where do you go with that? I have my style and I'm more of a chameleon. I can do a bunch of different styles. But at the same time, I'm going to reach out to artists I know who I think are pretty good. But more importantly, they're smart, they're clever, and they're going to think about the problem differently than I would. So to kind of slide back into your question, yeah, sometimes the guys will come up with some stuff that I don't think of, and I go, that's really cool. I think that could work. And then right away you start thinking, can I get this past the client? And then the second part, now when they start doing focus groups, which I hate, by the way, and we can talk about that later, but now these other people are going to make a decision. They're not designers. They're not thinking about things. They're just going to react to what they like or don't like. So from that standpoint, it's always tricky. And then whenever you do a logo, especially in sports, I don't care what you do. I think you're lucky if 50% of the people like it and 50% of the people hate it. If you go back and read the original reviews for the Sharks logo, as much as it was selling and all that kind of stuff, the original reviews of that logo, the league hated it. There's an article where they called it amateurish, boring. Nobody liked it. But guess what? Nobody liked it, but people were buying it. So when I say nobody liked it, the powers that be didn't like it. We broke all the rules. We took your stick and we broke it. We stylized some stuff. We created something that was, you know, not necessarily representative of an area, but we created some sell merchandise because that's what I do. So yeah, a lot of times I will come up with stuff that I think would work better. The color is another area where we can talk about it, because I still, even to this day, I know everybody loves the teal, but the original colors that I wanted to push for were, because again, you're going to name the colors, right? This is Pacific teal, even though we've seen what 8 shades of Pacific teal over the years. But you know, I wanted it to be blood red, because what do you think of with a shark? Blood in the water, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I wanted, so if you keep all the colors that they have, but it replaced the teal with a blood red, because I thought that the blood red would stand the test of time better. Now, that being said, nobody could have predicted, you know, how well the teal would have done. At the time, you also have to remember that none of the manufacturers were making teal.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, even if you go back to the early days, in the, you know, the first 3 or 4 years, you'll see every shade of teal that you in the book, because nobody was using it. So even the uniforms, the reason that they had to change the uniforms after a couple of years is the teal they ended up using for the uniforms was essentially a non-photo blue. So it didn't register well on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it didn't matter at the time because NHL didn't have a TV contract, but once they had a TV contract, all of a sudden these things became important. But the idea of blood red instead of teal, like I said, so that's still one of those things when you ask me that question, that's always the first thing that pops in my head. What if we had gone with the red? Now, we also know that if you do red in the Bay Area, when you think of red, well, who you think of? Niners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's another reason, just from a merchandising standpoint, where, you know, you start to think of it from a business side and go, even though I really, really wanted the red, we need to be different. Giants are black and orange, Raiders are black and red, Oakland A's green and gold, you know, so you just start thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford's red, Cal's blue, you know, so we have a very saturated sports market. And like I said, for me, it's still about kind of moving merchandise and doing something a little different. But yeah, I mean, over the years, even now, you know, if we start going through all the different logos and I take you through stuff, yeah, I definitely have some stuff I like that I think would work, you know, well. The Screaming Shark, as I'm looking at over your shoulder there at the New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a design, because when we were working on the new crest and new patches, I didn't want them to use that one, quite honestly. I thought we had better stuff. That logo was meant to be on a hat, and it was meant to be on a hat to test it. And like I said, here's a case where again, I'm not working as closely with the team, so I do a bunch of designs, and the next thing I know, I see something in some announcement that somebody sends me showing me the New Jersey, and you know that the league is done, and there's what I call the Screaming Shark on the shoulder. We had better marks that I think would work better, and the main reason I say that from a design perspective, that shark and the shark that's on the front don't go together. And so you guys can look at that. And that was the hardest part when we started doing the new designs, is trying to come up with a design where the shark had his mouth open. Because the current shark that we had, or the redesign of that shark, once you open the mouth, it doesn't look like a shark, because we had created this very angular, stylized shark that works when the teeth are closed and all that stuff. But if you take that head shape and you try to open the mouth, the shark it's a triangle that we did on there, so it doesn't look like a shark. So the hardest part was trying to create an updated version of the shark where I could open his mouth and still have it feel like the old shark. And that's why the Screaming one doesn't work. That was one of those early ones where I did it and go, nah, this doesn't look like the San Jose Shark. So now that I've said that, you'll go back and look at it and go, yeah, okay, I think you're right. See, again, nobody talked to me about it. It's like all of a sudden that one shows up on the shoulder. It's like, no. And now when they pick that one, now I got to go back and try to fix it. And it's like, so yeah, you'll from a design perspective, you run into that. But like I said, I'll at some point today I can pull up and there's just tons of stuff. Same thing when it comes to jerseys. You know, we've done so many different jerseys. And the one I really wanted to do for their alternate black jersey, you know, we did the designs, but then what happened is then the league takes over and then they put their touch on it. So, you know, it's like before I used to be able to do it all, you know, and design it and then work with the league and say, okay, let's do this, let's do that. So for example, on the new jerseys, I know the material exists, all this stuff exists, but I had on the numbers, so I'd done the jersey so it was all black. I called it it's the stealth mode. The Sharks logo, I have one at the office because we did a prototype, and everybody sees it, goes, oh, this is cool. But they didn't do that. So what it is, and I can show you, it looks cool in person. And the reason is because the white that is on, because the current black jersey still has the Sharks logo on it, but it doesn't have the stealth version. I created so all the white ice that you see, the white triangle, is all black.
Okay.
The only thing,
I'm wearing the stealth here is.
yeah. See,
So
all black. Yeah. And then, well, what I had done though is I'd introduced another blue, so there was no white running around it like you see on yours.
Right.
There was I created kind of like a fluorescent.
Oh yeah,
And so
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So everything was dark, and the only thing you saw was kind of the highlight of the shark. So imagine a shark in deep water. You would see the teeth, you'd see a highlight of them. And then for what I was most excited about was the numbers. And the numbers, what I did was I created they were black, but what I did was I created they were circuit. So did them in a material where they would shimmer. So when the light hit them, you know how when you look at a circuit board, you see the circuit pattern.
Is that what they ended up doing here on the sleeve?
Yeah, they ended up doing a puff ink.
Oh damn! I never knew that was in that jersey.
Yeah,
That is cool.
Yeah,
in there, there's the SJ. Yep.
right.
Now what we had done was all of that stuff was originally done out of a material so that when guys are skating around the ice, you would see the circuits shimmering in the striping and in the numbers and stuff. And again, I know it can be done because I've done it before. But again, the league wanted this was something the guys there, they had this new puff thing they wanted to do. And you can't, like you said, you don't even know they're there. But it was, so there was a lot of things that I had done on that jersey that would have been super cool, including I had the ability to put RFID tags in them so that when people bought the jerseys, when you put your phone up to it, and I can show you this at the office, then the player, we did it with the Joe Thornton jersey, and then the players could record messages and stuff. And so every time you put your phone on it, they'd record a new message, either for every game or once a month or whatever. Now he's talking to you. So there was a lot of stuff I was doing in terms of technology, design, all these things, materials, bringing it all together. And that's the kind of stuff they used to let me do. So I know I'm being long-winded here, but those are the things that are frustrating for me because I have ideas that I know fans would like that take it in a different direction that are super cool. And the old team used to let me do that. And like I said, I had very little contact with the new team. And so I'm not able to bring those types of things to the fans because I know they would love the stuff.
Terry, before I want to see some of these designs, and specifically, I want to see if you have a blood red version of the jersey that you're talking about, the original that you could show us, like a picture or something. That would be awesome. But real quick, a real simple question. Out of all of the Sharks jerseys that have been worn on the ice that you had a hand in partially designing or fully designed, do you have a favorite?
If I had to pick one, I would say it would be probably the first year we introduced the black jersey. And the reason I say that is, it's really, it's super simple. It's really clean. Super simple. Just to give an example, remember the jersey that had the shoulder design in it? They were
shoulder
blue,
yoke,
and then they had the orange shoulders, and they were really busy and crazy. That's when they first brought back that orange color.
Right. Carnival is what they call it.
Well, let me tell you, when those came back, it's like, guys, that's not the right color. I know you wanted orange, but we were just you know, and the goal there was the original colors for the Sharks logo, which you have behind you, the same fit, is there's kind of a burnt orange in the stick.
Mm-hmm.
And so the original design, I said, okay, since we haven't really used that anywhere else in the jersey, let's just I'm going to just put it as like a little pinstripe, so, you know, in a couple places. And what came back, right, was, you know, that bright yellow orange. And then they had on the shoulder there was, you know, now some people liked it, but for me, I like the jerseys that, you know, are just kind of clean and simple. And even on the new black ones, the idea there, like I said, you'll see that I'd done different stuff with the fins and all that kind of stuff. I was going to basically knock it all back. So it was like everything was black. It's like when you see a nice, you know, like a black car, you know, where they've done it, you know, and the rims are black and all kinds of stuff. And I just wanted to come in with accent colors here and there, and then special stuff, you know, that would shimmer. And so the idea here of trying to come up with things like that, but I'd say of the jerseys, you know, that's probably the one that I like, just like I said, because it was super clean and super simple. Yeah. And literally when the guys went out there, like I said, everything was black, except I think the only thing on that jersey, the numbers were white, and I think there's like a white and blue stripe.
Yeah, where the teal is here, it has white and then a teal stripe in the middle. Is it? And that's the jersey you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. And again, like I said, so, you know, just those 3 stripes on each shoulder, and everything else was, you know, super clean. So
yeah,
I think that's probably the one I would point to. Except my new favorite would have been this new one that I was designing. Like I said, you have the version that they did, but
right.
Yeah, when you're at the office, it looks cool.
Okay.
It looks cool.
I got to see that one.
I believe there was a version that you showed on one of the Teal Town podcasts where it was completely blacked out. It was just black and teal as the 2 main colors, and it looked sick.
Yeah,
it was some special.
Yeah, and what I did, like I said, I introduced a fluorescent teal, and that's what you'll see when I show you the what we did for Unity. Is there are ways, and when I designed that shark logo, I designed it so it can be multiple colors, because it's essentially a 2-tone. So that's what you'll see on the new jersey, and that's what I did, for example, on the red jerseys. Is the shark, I altered the colors of the shark a little bit, so that what you get is on that red jersey, the shark, what's teal on the red jersey is kind of like a, how would I describe it? It is a very, very warm gray. And so the shark looks more like a real shark. It's stylized, but since it's, you know, with the shark being teal, you know, for some people, you know, I saw someone when we did the new logo. I'm not big on social media. I don't read any of it. Don't pay any attention, because, you know, what all that's going to come out is, even when we did the remake, you know, all my friends were calling me, have you seen this? You heard that? People hate it and they don't like it. And they said it looks like a Pokemon character. You know, you see all that stuff, right? And like I said, I always tell them, guys, I don't read it. I don't pay any attention. I said, there's only one thing that matters to me, and that is, you know, because the true measure for me is, are people buying it? Because if they're buying it, that means they want to wear it and they're rocking it. And their sales went up 80%. So that told me, go, you know what? Okay.
Oh man, we got to plan a visit to this to your bat cave. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, or what we'll do, like I said, we can set up another one of these. But what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll find all those folders, and I'll put them on one hard drive, and that way, you know, when we're sharing screen, I can bounce back and forth. Because you guys have to realize there are hundreds, and I'm digging out an old drive here. I'm plugging it in while I'm talking. I probably have 60 folders of Sharks designs over the last, 30 years. So, wow. You know, we're beyond hundreds of designs. There's thousands, of which, you know, people have only seen a few. Even in that book, I didn't get into a lot of the crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I want to mention that while you're pulling up these hard drives and stuff, I think even Edward was like leafing through pages earlier when you were talking about stuff, because I know I was too. Terry's come out with this really awesome book called From Terry Smith Creations, and it's a sports edition, and it's essentially what I believe an incredible showcase of some of your amazing work with illustrative art in sport. And it talks, it shows some of your highlighted designs, some of your rejected designs, including some of the stuff you're going to show us right now. But I like some really cool rejected art from the San Jose Sharks. So it is available through eBay.
Here's what I'll do. Like I said, for those guys that don't have it, I'll just share screen real fast.
Yeah.
You have to let me though. It says it's still
Oh, okay.
So you have to click on the green button, and it says share screen, and then there's an advanced button. So if you look at the bottom, it says advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So after you click on share screen, go to advanced, and then you can hit a button that says anybody can share.
Yeah, if Terry has over 60 folders of images, we got to set up another podcast, and we can just flip through it one by one and just soak in all the unused concept art, because there's only about 2 or 3 pages in your book here in your catalog. And I'm like, if this is just a little snippet, I mean, what more do you have? Because I'd love to see.
Did you find it, Dan?
I might have.
Oh, yeah, you just did. I got it now, so I can share. So what I'll do first, I'll share. I can share I got a digital version of that booklet that you're showing them. So for you guys, again, I started more, as an illustrator and painting. So if you were a card collector and all that kind of stuff, I was doing, the Provision line for Fleer. I created that for them back in 1991 stuff. So for eBay, they had a card division. So that's what all this stuff is. It's basically just talking about, and showing a lot of the new paintings that I've been doing for the Small Stars brand that we put out. The red jersey or different colored jersey, what you can do is, again, you treat the highlights on the shark different, you treat the color slightly different, things like that. So you can end up with a very, very super cool shark jersey by playing around with these colors. So even if they hadn't gone teal, you could do some pretty cool stuff.
And so this was the design that you created for the upcoming March jersey, right?
Yep. So this is what, and I think this is what you're going to see.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That was very cool.
So one side says diversity and the other side says inclusion.
Yeah, and the middle says unite. Now, so this is the one they end up going with. I did some other designs, but I'm just showing you kind of, for time reasons. And then I'm also going to do, some kind of a limited edition print probably with it as well. So the people that buy those uniforms in the auction, they'll also get, I'm going to sign and number, a certain amount of these. I tell them, if we're going to do this again, I want to do something where, it's for a cause. And I know they weren't expecting anything like this, and so it's like, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do something that's a little different, and I want to make a little bit more of a statement, but I want something that'd be kind of cool. And so, this is
man, that is so cool.
Yeah, you definitely did it.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be fun. But I wanted something that people would talk about. And so when they do most of these jerseys, people are doing an interpretation of the Sharks logo.
Right.
That's kind of where the instinct goes. And so I said, no, I'm going to keep the Sharks logo the way it is, but I'm going to put it on the shoulder, and I'm going to use the crest to make more of a statement. And so this is about, again, hockey, the league itself has, again, we talked about those, a bunch of movement, trying to create inclusion and diversity and all that kind of stuff. So what I wanted to do was say, now let's do something a little different. And, I'm going to, let me do a hockey player. Let me use the colors of the unity flag. It's to represent the different races. And let me put, do something with a hockey player that's not white. And again, he's brown. So is he African American? Is he Hispanic? Is he Iranian? Doing something that you definitely know, this is a person of color who happens to be in hockey. But I want it to kind of be super cool, but I wanted something that was kind of proud. So kind of a revolutionary image using a hockey player, and then, like I said, and then changing the colors. So that if you get, like I said, this logo, because I could still see coming back. And that's what I'm saying here. I think I could do some pretty cool. Imagine if the Sharks were these colors.
Yeah.
It would be a cool jersey. And,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
and here's where I'll go. I think it might stand the test of time more than teal. But because the teal took off, it is the team's identity. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
But I still think in the long run, like I said, for me, if the Sharks were a bad team or if people hadn't gravitated towards teal, that they probably would have changed the colors after 5 to 10 years. But teal is part of the identity and the brand. And so it's not going anywhere. But if you look at a lot of the teams, Miami Dolphins and stuff, they've gone away from, they're kind of more of a dark green and they bounce around. And other teams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers were orange, in their early days. I mean, a bright one if you go back and look.
Yeah.
So teams tend to shift color-wise unless you're the Yankees or the green of the Celtics or the purple and gold of the Lakers. So teal is that way with the Sharks now. It's not going anywhere. But if it hadn't, then there'd be some other things you could do. So anyway, there's a sneak peek at that. Let me stop sharing. I'll pull up.
That is so cool, man. I am so excited for that jersey. I also picked up how you found a way to put like the shark tail in part of his chest on the other side too. And I'm just like,
oh, see, Dan, you always see things. You're always going to be looking for stuff. Now, Dan, I'm not even going to tell you if I meant to do that or not.
Oh, I love it.
Sometimes, Dan, you're going to see things that not even there I didn't even think of. But you're going to see it, and I'm not going to deny you your victory.
Thank you. But I just love how that looked, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna I got some saving up to do because I'll be putting some bids in on those for sure.
Well, yeah. Here's what I'd like to do, and maybe you, Dan, you guys can start this for me. Is what I want to do is because the reason for doing those and they auction them off for charity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what I wanted to do is say, okay, people can have those for charity, but I'm going to tell the team, let's sell them all year long. Let me pick a couple of groups, Second Harvest Food Bank, some of the other organizations, and offer for sale all year long at an affordable price. And so you guys could maybe, that's something you could do, start that movement. If they come out and go, hey, if you really like it, get people behind it and say, let's sell these year round, for this season. And, the proceeds go to, I'll pick the causes, but
right.
or we'll, whatever. But, I think because right now what will happen is they'll only make, the guys will wear them, they'll get auctioned off, and then they're done.
Yeah, you'll never see.
The team has already come back to me and hit me up, because like I said, I don't think they didn't know what to expect. And they said they want to use it. Hey, can you do those limited edition prints for another thing? And can we do this or can we do that? And it's like, well, I think we might raise more money, by doing something like this. And if the fans, again, right now fans aren't showing up. So if we do something where, you can support the cause, show your support for the team and the community by doing this, and basically just have the Sharks or work with them to go, all the proceeds go wherever. Once you pay for the cost of the jerseys, all the rest of the money goes to good causes.
That's something the Vancouver Canucks are actually doing. They're doing their Lunar New Year warm-ups, and so the players are wearing them. They're auctioning them off for a good cause, but then they're also offering them retail for fans to buy. So that's definitely in the future if we want to push that hard. Definitely retail practice jerseys.
Yeah, and it's becoming a movement, but and that's a good point, is like there's starting to become more of a precedent for a retail version of a limited edition. But the other thing that I can tell you very confidently, Terry, is that through the jersey groups that we're all part of, there's always what we do and refer to as group buys, and those are significant purchases. So there's easily a precedent for, I'd say, at least 150 to 250 to maybe, I don't even want to say how many would sell, but I know it would
thousands.
be thousands.
Here's
in the
here's
thousands.
what I would do, Dan, is what I would do basically, is go, let's do this. I'll show you the, well, I was going to get to some more. Remind me that I need to tell you, when I show you the Willie O'Ree stuff, just remind me, hey, Terry, you were going to tell me something. And then
Okay.
I'll back into it.
Sounds good.
I'm going to share screen again. What I'm going to show you here, you just have to, no screen captures or no nothing at this stage, just because they want to do their, Bauer wants to do their own,
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, but this is my part of my apology for being so darn late here.
Okay, sorry. I was
you're not
hoping
supposed
it
to
was
see.
like a nice ask and not like.
Wow.
So, Bauer started to do some things
Oh my
with-
God.
with skates. So this was something they had done for the team, a US team and another team. But what they were doing was, again, doing stuff that was, what I would say just kind of graphics. And I wanted to push the envelope. I also wanted to do something that made more of a statement. So I had them send me these templates.
Mhm.
I said, because I originally thought, oh, great, I get to cover the whole skate. And they came back and said, nah, we got to work here. Parts of the skate, like these pieces here that I'm creating and other parts are done in China. And then they're shipped over to Bauer in Canada where they assemble them. And then ship them out to the guys from there. The guys have to skate on them to break them in before they're going to wear them on the ice. So when they contacted me, I had 48 hours. I had Saturday, Sunday to come up with something. And so I got the templates from them before, and I asked them, give me everything that I can do. And they just gave me this part in the beginning. And I said, well, can I put something on the tongue? Okay. So I was, if they would have let me put stuff on the blade, I would have. But so here's kind of what I came up with.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
broke his face into shapes. That will be on the outside because I'll show you what it looks like on the mock-up. But and then getting all the words and stuff on the inside, creating a special logo and stuff for the tongue, close-ups on all that stuff, signature, all that kind of stuff. And then like I said, I should have something here. I also wanted to create, again, some graphic elements, patches. I don't know if you saw, you can look it up afterwards. The NHL put out a Willie O'Ree patch.
That they wore on the helmets. Yeah.
Yeah. And go back and look at it. And I saw that and I went, oh, no. You can't do that for him. We need to do something better than that. So when you guys go back and look at it, you'll see why I reacted the way I did. And it's like, okay, let me do something that'll be a little cooler. And so again, trying to create patches. Now they came back to me and said I could only use so many colors.
Okay.
And so part of this was saying, okay, how do I go ahead and create this look for the skate? Originally what I created was it was like 9 colors and I had to get it down to 5. So that's what part of this stuff is. And so that's what all these, and then it's going to go on these 2 skates, the Vapor and the Supreme. So here are the renders of both the Vapor and, with the patch, so you can see what happened. Now, what they had to do is they came back and they told me, well, we got to take the Boston Bruin logo off because, the guys are going to wear them around a lot of the black players are going to wear them. And if they're not in Boston or they're not playing for Boston, the league has some rules about having another team's logo on there and stuff. So it's like, really? But anyway, this will give you an idea of what, this is something you can look forward to. So I'm going to try to see if they'll make up, some extra skates and auction.
Yeah.
But
That is so cool.
well,
That's
the thing is,
amazing.
what I wanted to do was really different. So you can see what they had done before, right? Was like flags and, that kind of stuff. And it's like, no. Let's do something that makes more of a statement. And also let's do something where, I want to see if we can create a trend where all of a sudden guys go, hey, that's pretty cool. I want to make a statement. And the league will, allow guys to wear custom skates.
That's
Absolutely.
It's only a
That
matter
would
of
be
time
cool.
now.
So
Yeah.
even
Then Bauer-
like baseball.
Yeah,
Baseball has
exactly.
the player appreciation week where they get to, they put their nicknames on their jersey and they can
Yeah.
wear whatever cleats they want. And it's always so fun to just get more of an insight into the personalities of the players. And it's so funny that you can do that so much with a shoe or a
Yeah.
cleat.
Yeah,
And,
you see it all the time in basketball, you
Yep.
know. And so it's like, hey, let's do something. So then they liked it and they said, hey, what can you do? Can you do a shirt for us and stuff? So, and the reason I mentioned this to you, Dan, to remind me was if we did something with the jerseys, see what I want to do is come back and create kind of a collectible hang tag
Mhm.
that would go on it. And then what I do, if you guys bought them, I would do some kind of collectible hang tag that could also be art, and then I would sign and number each one.
Neat.
So basically, if you guys did this, I would make sure you guys had limited edition jerseys where, the tag would be signed, and if you wanted, I would sign the jersey.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And,
I mean,
and then
that
that
would
way,
just get more people to buy them for sure.
correct. And again, the money's all going for a good cause. And so what we would do is it was a way that maybe we could get some added value. And then people could frame them if they wanted to wear them, whatever, but people would have that option. So, basically you can imagine if we did the jerseys, they would have some kind of hang tag like this. The hang tags would be signed and numbered and all that kind of stuff. And, we could do something where we could, make more of a statement. If guys wanted jerseys, we could do that. If not, we could do it with shirts, where I would do something like this, with that design on the front and then do some other stuff on the back and, and then put the Sharks logos on the sleeves, but using the colors that, come from that. So I would design either a special shirt or special jersey.
Well, I'm on board.
To have the ambition to see the league start making more custom skates for everyone is like a great forward thinking idea. We were talking about how we'd love to see that in hockey before you jumped on about how other athletes are already able to express themselves that way. But what I love about what you're saying too is like, that's an idea. And then people could see your design and be like, oh, actually, that's not going to work. Like, look, that's the best they can do on a skate. Nothing's going to end up being good if anyone tries to do this themselves afterwards. But your design is so good. It's like, wait, that gives me so much potential and other ideas for so much. Like, I'm glad you were able to push the boundaries there with Bauer, not just use that wing blade part, but look at other concepts too. But thank you for showing us those things.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
absolutely.
All right, now we'll bounce back to the Sharks. If you guys have a little, why don't we'll set a time limit. It's 9:37. How about we say we'll go till 10? How's that?
Perfect.
Okay.
And then if you guys want to do it again, we can.
I'd say, yeah. I'd say I'm interested. Yeah.
My jaw's been on the floor the last hour and a half.
See here, I'm just looking.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
So
Oh, that's the tiger shark.
this was one of the original. You can see the artwork here was done on illustration board. This was one of the original concepts for before they went with teal, lime green and black with a tiger shark. And
Wow.
Oh, no
Wow. That is something.
oh yeah, this is awful. It would have been terrible. But you guys get a sense on, when I tell you there's like all kinds of crazy stuff, there's crazy stuff.
way. Yeah.
And like I said, I'm
Oh,
one of those
man.
artists. Like I said, I'm not afraid to show it because it's like, no, sometimes you do stuff that's just really bad.
That looks like a roller hockey, like in the, like very, like you see a lot of roller hockey jerseys that are more loud and have those kind of, shapes and elements to them. But yeah, it's so cool to see, from square one. Just for fun as being a goalie and one of the things that goalies obsess about is their pads and how they look and especially now you're even getting with the alternate jerseys, goalies are coming up with separate pads and separate masks to go along
Oh
with
yeah.
them.
Well, that was the whole thing, was again creating, doing, there were a few times guys asked me to do their goalie mask and stuff, but I just said, nah. I said I can design it for you, but I don't have time to paint it up.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite like set though?
Pardon?
Do you have a favorite set from like a Shark that they wore where you felt like when you saw the pads and the jersey together and just said, man, that is, that looks clean or that looks great. Is there anyone that comes to mind?
No, it's funny you mentioned that because I wanted to basically design, just give me all the equipment, and just let me design it. So what I want to do is have the helmet, because a lot of it is, it's done separately. They'll send their mask off to a guy to do the mask, and then maybe somebody else does something on one of the pads no, let me do the whole thing. I want to do the mask, the pads, because I want it all flow together and be super cool. So we're getting close to 10 o'clock here.
No,
so.
I was gonna say, like, we are so grateful for all the time that you've given us tonight.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
For what you've
100%.
shown us. Like James isn't here only because his battery died. I know he wanted to stay longer, but that's a testament to how long we were able to have you tonight and talk with you, and just to hear your thought process as you go through this is so enlightening too. It's a new and very appreciated way of being able to share your creative process with you. And I personally am very grateful. And I know James wanted me to say that as well, now that he's not on the call, but I certainly want to, I already look forward to the next time. I'm very grateful that that's something that you're interested in doing with us. And I'm also very, very excited about how the power of the three of us on this call can help in some way now. Like, you've given us something to do, which is really awesome to be able to think that maybe we can, in a very positive way, like, influence a new stage of fundraising and jersey and design interest. I think is a great feeling to have right now too. So thank you for all of it. I really appreciate it.
Well, I think that, let's see what happens with Bauer, because again, there's some, we're talking about, what I told him, I said, just let me design the line, that can be more, that can break outside of hockey and begin to introduce the sport and teams and all that kind of stuff to the urban market. So that's another reason for that one design is, you guys probably remember this, but, actually, maybe you don't. You guys are a little younger than I am, but back like when MTV started back in the 80s, a lot of the guys, Run DMC and the bands and stuff that started with that, we're all wearing hockey jerseys. Hockey jerseys were cool.
Yeah.
And you don't see it anymore. And so, one of the things I want to do is see if we can't, get hockey back into urban fashion, and that's part of the reason for creating that, that one, jersey that you saw there. For the warm up is, creating stuff that begins to merge hockey and urban and try to make it hip and cool again and create stuff that people want to wear, whether it's shoes or jackets or whatever. Again, as we're talking, there's a bunch of other stuff that I'm sure will come up and, we can address some of those things, on another call. But I appreciate you guys taking the time for letting me be that late. I'm glad you stayed on, and it's been nice to meet all of you, and we'll do it again whenever Dan wants to set it up. Anytime, guys. I don't mind.
Absolutely. No, all thanks to you, Terry. This is as a lifelong Sharks fan, and it's just I'm going to need tonight to process everything I just saw and being able to talk to you. And definitely looking forward to doing it again. And eventually I'll take you up on your offer, and we'll come down and check out the studio when the world permits. Yeah.
I also want to see the stuff you guys are doing too, because one of the other things that I've always tried to do is none of us get anywhere in this world by ourselves. So, along the way, people have always helped me out, and still do. So if you guys as designers, young designers, and trying to get places, if I can help you out, let me know. When we get together, bring some of your stuff if you've got it. If you have websites or something, let me know. I'll check it all out. And when we're talking, we can talk about your work as well. And, and where you want to go. So maybe the next time we can do it is like, hey, you guys can each tell me, what's your dream job? Which is the question I would ask you,
Nice.
and then try not to, dump water on it when, meaning, there are a lot of people that will look and go, hey, gosh, I wish I had your job. And I'd say, nah, it's like being an actor or a musician or a rock star. I go, yeah, it looks pretty good, but the real life is it's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that's not so pretty and all that kind of stuff. But if you love what you do and you're passionate about it, then, you put up with all that stuff. And I love what I do, and, I'm passionate about it. So I put up with all the headaches. But for what you guys might want to do, love to see your work, share it with me, and we can have conversations about where you guys want to go.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thanks a bunch, Terry. This was, like Sonny and Dan said, like amazing experience. Like not many people have the opportunity to pick the brain of someone like you and really get the behind the scenes. So it's an awesome experience.
Well, you guys, you flatter me, but I'm just like you guys. We have a passion kind of for design and for art. I think all artists see the world a little differently. All of us see it a little differently. But there isn't a bigger thrill, than seeing your work out there and having people respond to it. And I know you guys feel the same way. And so, if I can help you get there, do that. But, don't look at me any differently. You saw a lot of really bad stuff tonight. That's why I was showing it to you. There's awful stuff there. We all do bad stuff. We get lucky every now and then. But we can discuss philosophy and things like that. But just, I'm glad you enjoyed doing what you're doing. Keep doing it. And I look forward to talking again and having a good time.
Thank you, Terry.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks,
you.
Terry.
All right, Dan. See you. Thanks for setting us up.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Talk to you
Bye.
guys later.
All right.
Hey, Terry.